Tony Bennett this morning to come and to share with us just about his life. I've asked Tony to start with his early life.
Well, with stories, you just don't know where to start. But I think my journey really began when I was 6 years old. We lived in Lakewood, California. We moved to Landover, Maryland, and just the transition time. We lived in an apartment, but there were some pretty crazy things that happened that first year. But what culminated was really the story that took me through my life, in which my mom and dad were having an argument, and the argument was about them separating and saying that you need to take one of the kids to California with you to live with your grandparents. And I remember my mom being torn because how do I take just one child? And so she picked my little sister. My dad said no, it'll be too traumatic, and picked my brother, older brother, and once again no, but then he of course decided you need to take Tony. What he didn't know was later on would be a blessing for me. But what transpired from there was I got to see a marriage with my grandparents that was beautiful. They were married when they passed away, 67 years. And I got a glimpse of that special moment. But the other thing is I went through 14 different homes growing up, and 7 of which was in foster care. I got to see my mom go through 5 nervous breakdowns, and went through 15 different schools through high school.
In the middle of that, though, Tony, this is what I loved as you and I talked, was even in the midst of those foster care situations, there was a time where God sent someone into your life.
You know, he did. The last foster home that I went to with the Kings, it was the first couple of years, everything was going great. We were doing things as a family, but one thing is God sent a college intern in the junior high group, and it just so happens that the Billy Graham Crusade was going on in San Diego, and he took a group of us boys down there for the week, and with the questions asked, and obviously pondering life, but one thing that happened was the day before the last night, I felt a tug and felt God calling me down to that field, and I was at that moment I received Christ, and you think that everything's going to go great, and it did at first, and then got involved in swimming very heavily, probably by God's grace, kept me from all the garbage that went on. My foster parents got a divorce. I ended up moving out of the house and swimming for a couple more years, but not knowing how this was going to turn out, but ended up at Biola.
Tell us the story about Biola, because you had tried once before.
Yeah, I got accepted, or I didn't get accepted right out of high school, going, wow, I guess I've been to too many schools, and so waited 2 years, and then I replied. I was a little nervous about the letter coming back, and got accepted, and was excited. I pretty much ended my career as a swimmer, and I met my beautiful wife, who we just celebrated 24 years of marriage. And two beautiful blessings that we had with 2 kids. But God's not finished. He took me through another journey of a lot of different poor decisions. And
well, I know Tony's in education, as first a coach and a teacher, and then took on administration out in the desert. And you said that even those 5 years out in the desert, God has used in your life.
Yeah, you look at those things, and God placed me in different positions and was very successful in the schools that I was at, but I was empty. I felt like something was missing, even though I just wasn't sure what it was, but I was getting disconnected with the family. But God brought me to Yucaipa, opened up a door there, and Yucaipa Elementary, and man, things were going great. And then 2 years, the budget cuts, they closed the school. They eliminated my position. They reassigned me to the classroom, and those positions were cut, so I was laid off. And I thought, wow, this is great. And no, it wasn't. But at the same time, I saw God work amazing the day before school started. And they called me up and offered me a short-term contract, which basically led to a full-time contract for the rest of the year.
Yeah. For this year. But God isn't done in your life. Because even this year, as you look at all those big things and bring it down, even this year has had its challenges. You had lip cancer, and then in January.
Yeah, snapped my Achilles, showing a student how to shoot a basketball, which was very good form. And then, going through that process, obviously the surgery, and then eventually I got the last day before we got the okay to go back to school tomorrow.
Right?
And the orthopedic surgery looked at my leg and he says, just on the slight chance that there's a problem, let's get you an ultrasound. So he ordered an ultrasound. That ultrasound, he said it'd take a week or two. The next morning at 11:30, I get a phone call saying that, wow, you just got approved for ultrasound. And by the way, they just had a cancellation in 2 hours at 1:30. So I went to Redlands Community, and it just so happens that one of my Koinonia members was the technician, and found a large clot in my upper leg, and it was pretty much blocked through the rest of the leg. So
Only 2 feet long,
only,
Tony.
something like that.
And that's not a problem. But you said that even in that you saw that God was at work, that God was protecting you. And I was thinking, and as Tony and I talked about this, and I thought about this, he used a phrase over and over, but I was thinking you were the last choice to go to California, but you got to see your grandparents' marriage. You just happened to be at the right place for an intern who was only short period of time there, sort of took you in and then took you to Billy Graham, and God tugged your heart. You were rejected and then accepted at Biola just at the right time to meet Chris and to have your family that you have now. And then this doctor, just before he sent you back to work, said, let's check that out.
I think the amazing thing is until you actually get a chance to reflect on your life, and you don't actually see God's blessing until you start writing things down and going, wow, how many times have we had God just say, I need you to go this way, and have different people in my life that were instrumental in where I've come, and hopefully, continues. But as we face the challenges, I know God's not finished with me, but I also know that even though all these challenges, I know that I'm not in control, and that God has his hand, and will always have his hand on my life.
Thanks, Tony.